Okay, let's get started. Today we're looking at a brand new gaming laptop, the ASUS TUF Gaming A18 for 2025.
That's right. It's looking like a pretty powerful machine, definitely next-gen stuff.
And ASUS is offering it in two main flavors, right? The FA808UP and the FA808UM.
Exactly. Two configurations under that A18 umbrella, catering to slightly different priorities, but keeping that TU focus on performance and being sturdy.
Okay, so let's dive into what makes these tick. Starting under the hood, the processor.
Both models, the UP and the UM, they're packing the same AMD Ryzen 7 260 CPU.
Which is what, 8 cores, 16 threads?
Yep, 8 cores, 16 threads, and it can boost up to 5.1 gigahertz. So plenty of horsepower there for games and other heavy tasks.
Definitely sounds powerful. But there's something else interesting processor-wise, isn't there? Something about AI.
Yeah, you're talking about the NPU, the AMD XDNA NPU.
Right, NPU. Neural Processing Unit. What does that actually mean for someone using this laptop day to day?
Well, think of it like a dedicated brain just for AI stuff. Right now, you'll see it helping with things like Windows Copilot, making the AI assistant feel a bit snappier.
Okay, so Copilot gets a boost.
Yeah, but it's also kind of about looking ahead. As more software starts using AI, having the separate chip means the laptop can handle those tasks way more efficiently without bogging down the main processor or the graphics card. It's sort of future-proofing.
Gotcha. So it helps now, but might be even more important down the line.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Now, processors are the same, but the graphics.
Yeah.
That's where they differ.
That's the main split, yeah. The FA808UP model, that gets the NVIDIA RTX 5070.
Okay, 5070, that sounds like the top-tier option here.
Pretty much. This is for pushing serious pixels. Think AAA games on high settings, maybe ultra, good for 3D rendering, video editing, and definitely for anyone who wants smooth ray tracing effects. Peak performance, basically.
The graphical powerhouse of the two. And the other one, the FA808UM.
That one comes with the NVIDIA RTX 5060. Still a very, very strong card, make no mistake.
Right, not exactly slow.
Not at all. It'll handle high-end gaming perfectly well, run all the latest titles smoothly. The main difference is maybe not quite the same headroom for maxed-out ray tracing or super high resolutions in every single game compared to the 5070.
So the 5060 might be better for someone who's maybe a bit more budget conscious.
Yeah.
Or plays competitive games where frame rate is king over absolute eye candy.
Exactly that. You still get a fantastic experience, potentially at a slightly lower price point. It's a smart balance.
UP for ultimate visuals, UM for still high-end, but maybe more value-focused. Okay, let's talk screens. What are you actually looking at?
Big differences here, too, tied to the models. The FA808UP, the one with the 5070, it gets an 18-inch screen.
18 inches, wow. That's pretty big for a laptop.
It is, yeah, and it's a 2.5K resolution, WQXGA they call it, plus a really fast 240 hertz refresh rate.
240 hertz, super smooth. What about colors?
That's another highlight on the UP. It covers 100% of the DCI-P3 color space. Think cinema quality color. Really vibrant, really accurate. Great for content creation, too, not just gaming.
Sounds like a fantastic panel.
Yeah.
Any tech to help with, tearing or stuttering in games?
Yep, it's got both NVIDIA G-Sync and Advanced Optimus. G-Sync keeps the screen refreshed locked to the GPU output, so no tearing. And Advanced Optimus is clever. It switches automatically between using the powerful NVIDIA GPU for gaming and the more efficient integrated graphics for like browsing or battery saving.
Smart. Gets you the best of both worlds without fiddling around. Now, the FA808UM display. Is it the same 18-inch panel?
It's also 18 inches, but the specs are different. It's an FHD plus resolution, so full HD, but slightly taller aspect ratio, and the refresh rate is 144 hertz.
Still respectable. 144 hertz is good for gaming.
Absolutely. Plenty smooth for most people. The color coverage is different too, though. It's rated around 75% Adobe RGB. Still good, but not quite as rich or wide-ranging as the DCI-P3 panel on the UP.
So perfectly fine for gaming, especially competitive stuff, but maybe not quite as visually stunning for movies or creative work compared to the UP.
That's a fair way to put it. It's a good gaming panel, just maybe less vibrant overall. Both are anti-glare IPS level displays with a 3 mirrors response time, though, which is important.
Good. Fast response is key.
Yeah.
Okay, shifting gears. The TUF name implies ruggedness. How's the build quality?
They definitely lean into that. Both models use a chassis that meets the MIL STD 810H military standard.
Which means?
It means they've been tested against drops, vibration, extreme temperatures, humidity, stuff like that. Basically, it should handle being lugged around more than your average delicate laptop. Designed for mobile use,
That's reassuring. And ports. What kind of connectivity are we looking at?
Pretty comprehensive. You get 2 USB-C ports. One of them is USB 4, which is great. Super fast for data, external displays, the work.
USB 4 is definitely nice to see.
Yeah. Then there's HDMI 2.1, a proper RJ45 port for wired internet, which gamers often prefer.
Always good to have the option.
Right. And a couple of standard USB-A ports, USB 3.2 Gen 2 speed. So plenty of options for peripherals and docks.
Covers all the bases, sounds like. What about the keyboard? Anything special there besides RGB lighting?
Well, the RGB is there, but the interesting addition is a dedicated Copilot key.
Ah, like the Windows AI assistant.
Exactly, a dedicated hardware button to launch it instantly. It's a small thing, maybe, but it shows ASUS is really thinking about how AI is integrating into Windows 11 and beyond.
Another nod to the future, like the NPU. Okay, let's look inside again. Memory and storage. What are the options?
You can configure these with up to 64 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM running at 5600 millihertz.
Yeah.
That's a lot of memory for multitasking or heavy creative work.
Yeah, 64 gigs is substantial. And storage. SSDs, presumably.
Oh, yeah. Fast PCIe 4.0 NVMe SSDs. Options go up to 2 terabytes, so plenty of space for games and applications, and they'll load really quickly.
Nice. We mentioned Advanced Optimus for the display, but there's also a MUX switch involved, right? How does that fit in?
Right. So the MUX switch gives you direct control. You can manually force the system to only use the powerful NVIDIA GPU and connect it straight to the display, bypassing the integrated graphics entirely.
And that gives you a performance boost.
Often, yes. It can reduce latency slightly and sometimes squeeze out a few extra frames per second in games. Advanced Optimus tries to do this automatically, but the MUX switch gives you the manual override if you want maximum performance all the time when plugged in.
Okay, so flexibility there between automated convenience and manual control. And keeping all this cool, how's the thermal situation?
ASUS usually does a good job with TUF cooling. They talk about robust thermal management, efficient fans, heat pipes. The usual stuff for a high-performance gaming laptop. They need it to keep those Ryzen processors and RTX GPUs running without throttling too much.
Makes sense. And battery. Big screen, powerful parts.
It's got a 90 watt-hour battery in both models. That's pretty sizable for a gaming laptop. You won't get all-day battery life while gaming, obviously, but it should offer decent endurance for lighter tasks unplugged.
Okay, 90 watt hours is respectable. What about sound?
It features Dolby Atmos support and high-res audio certification running through dual speakers. Should provide pretty immersive audio for games and media.
Good. And webcam. Important for calls and streaming?
It's a 1080p webcam, which is nice, better than the 720p cameras you still see sometimes. And it's got IR, infrared.
For Windows.
Hello? Exactly. Facial recognition login, quick and secure.
Convenient. Does ASUS throw anything else in the box? Any extras?
Yeah, actually. You get a TUF branded backpack, which is useful. Also a TUF Gaming M3 mouse, a 100W USB-C charger, which is nice and portable compared to the main power brick, and 3 months of Xbox Game Pass for PC.
That's a pretty decent bundle. Adds some real value out of the box.
Definitely. Covers the basics and gives you a library of games to start with.
What about security beyond Windows? Hello, anything built in?
They mentioned some enterprise-grade features like the Microsoft Pluton security processor and secured core PC Level 3 compliance. Basically, extra layers of hardware and firmware security. There's also an optional McAfee antivirus subscription offered.
Okay, so security seems well covered. Now, we've focused on the UP and UM distinctions, but you mentioned this as part of the broader FA808 series. Are there other things about the general FA808 line worth noting?
Yeah, a few points. That 18-inch 2.5K display on some FA808 models uses a 16:10 aspect ratio. That's a bit taller than standard widescreen, gives you more vertical space, which can be nice for productivity, browsing websites, that kind of thing.
Oh, interesting aspect ratio. Any other hardware variations?
You might see other configurations within the FA808 series. For example, maybe models with the older but still capable AMD Ryzen 7 7800U40HS processor, possibly paired with an RTX 4060 GPU.
So potential for slightly different CPU-HAQ combos under the FA808 banner.
Right, and some might top out at 32 GB of DDR5 RAM, maybe running at a slightly slower 4800 millihertz speed. They also highlight dual PCIe Gen 4 slots for storage expansion, up to 2 TB total.
Good to know about storage expansion. And the cooling in the general FA808 line, anything specific mentioned?
They talk up the cooling system quite a bit. Dual arc flow fans, full width heat sinks, 5 heat pipes, just emphasizing that it's designed to handle the heat from powerful components effectively.
Makes sense.
Also, things like Wi-Fi 6E support for the latest wireless standard and a 180-degree hinge design letting the screen lay flat, which can be useful sometimes.
Okay, so the FA808 series is the umbrella, with UP and UM being specific high-end 2025 configurations, but potentially other variations exist too. Let's quickly recap the main differences people should focus on between the FA808UP and UM specifically.
Sure. The big two are the GPU and the display. FA808UP gets the RTX 5070 and that gorgeous 2.5K 240Hz DCI-P3 screen. Top tier stuff.
Right.
FA808UM gets the RTX 5060 and the 18-inch FHD plus 144Hz screen with good, but less vibrant color. Still very high-end, just a step down on graphics power and display quality, likely for a better price.
So UP for the ultimate visual fidelity and performance, UM for a powerful, high refresh experience that's maybe more balanced towards value or competitive play.
That's a great summary. The target audience is slightly different based on those components.
Okay. So if we look at the A18 2025 lineup overall, what are the big strengths shining through?
Well, definitely the performance potential from those AMD Ryzen CPUs and the new NVIDIA RTX 50 series GPUs. The inclusion of the NPU for AI is very forward-looking.
Yeah, the future-proofing aspect.
Right. The option for that stunning 18-inch 2.5K display on the UP is a huge plus. The TUF build quality, that MIL STD rating, gives confidence. Modern ports like USB 4, the Copilot key, these are all strong points.
And the cooling seems robust. Plus, you got those nice bundled accessories. The large screen size itself is a benefit, too.
Absolutely. An 18-inch immersive display is great for gaming and multitasking.
Okay, on the flip side, any potential drawbacks or things buyers should consider?
The main one is probably the display difference. That FHD plus screen on the UM, while good for gaming, just won't wow you visually like the UP's panel. Also, these are 18-inch laptops built tough. They're not going to be super light, around 2.6 kilograms or 5.7 pounds.
Yeah, not exactly an ultra portable.
No. So portability is a factor if you need something really thin and light. And maybe a minor point for some, but there's no built-in SD card reader, which some creators might miss.
Right, fair points.
Yeah.
Okay, let's wrap this up. Your final take on the ASUS TUF Gaming A18 for 2025.
I think it's shaping up to be a really solid contender. It nails the core TUF principles, strong performance, durable build. ASUS has made smart choices with the CPU and GPU options, and they've layered on these forward-looking features like the NPU and the Copilot key. Whether you go for the top spec UP or the more balanced M, you're getting a very capable machine ready for modern gaming and increasingly AI-driven tasks.
It really does feel like that AI integration, the NPU specifically, is more than just a spec point. It signals where things are heading. ASUS seems to be betting that this kind of dedicated AI hardware is going to become increasingly important, not just for assistance, but maybe even for enhancing gaming itself down the road.
That's the big question, isn't it? How will these NPUs actually change the experience?
Yeah, exactly. How might AI processing directly improve game performance or visuals or even AI opponents in the future? It's definitely something interesting to think about as these chips become more common in gaming laptops like the A18. Food for thought.